We are into the second part, part B of module 4, and we are concerned with the solution of coupled equations, and that is a question of how to solve together a set of continuity, momentum, energy and other equations, but for the specific case of incompressible flow. We know that incompressible flow is not a property of the fluid, but it is a property of the flow. If the velocity of the characteristic velocity of the fluid of the flow is such that it is significantly less than the speed of sound in that medium, then we could call it as a incompressible flow, irrespective of whether density changes are there or not. As a yardstick, if the characteristic velocity is less than 0.3 of Mach number, so that is 30% of Mach number or less, then you could effectively call that as incompressible flow, and any density variations, any pressure variations within the flow which are induced by velocity changes are not going to make a significant change in the density, and so that is the kind of linkage that we have with between density, pressure and velocity, and this linkage gets broken to the linkage between the density changes and pressure changes gets broken for low Mach number flows, and those flows can be considered as incompressible flows. So, for such flows, the methods that we have discussed so far, the McCormack method and the beam and warming method, which are predicated on the linkage between density and the momentum equations through the equation of state. So, that kind of relation does not hold good for incompressible flows, because in the incompressible flow equations density does not come into picture, it is a constant, it does not vary, it is not there in the continuity equation, and it can be factored out, as we will see, from the momentum equations. So, if density is not there, then the linkage between continuity equation and the momentum equations through pressure, density and equation of state is gone, and in such a case we will not be able to use the density based methods that we have seen in compressible flows. We also saw that there are special methods that have been developed, and we saw these things as artificial compressibility method, stream function vorticity method and pressure equation method. These are the ones that we are going to learn in this part of the module, and I would like to say at this point that module 4 is difficult. It is not easy, whether it is the solution of the compressible flows or the incompressible flows, and you have seen the difficulty with which a solution method like that incorporating the beam warming concept has been put together, and the idea of this course is not for you to know every bit of it. It is more, there is lot more detail that you would have to work out on your own before you can fully understand all the details and try coding it. So, the objective of module 4 is to expose you to the concepts and principles that are brought out in the solution of coupled equations. It is not to give you a recipe for the solution, and recipe for the solution requires a lot more effort. So, it is the flow of ideas that we are looking at in this, rather than the specifics of writing codes and algorithms. So, that will come with maybe a more effort from each of you for your own specific problem area. So, with that thing, let us go to the what we mean by the artificial compressibility method. It is a method which was introduced by Chorin in 1967, and the basic idea is that we know that the linkage between the continuity equation and the momentum equations is not there, and so we can introduce artificially such kind of linkage. For example, we can write the continuity equation as d rho star by dou t, partial of rho star with respect to time, plus del dot u equal to 0, and this is an equation which is not correct for incompressible flows because there is no density here, and this density is not the density that we normally have for say water or air and those kind of things. This is a fictitious density. It is brought in to create a linkage, a bridge between the continuity equation and the momentum equations. And how that bridge is built is shown here. You have dou rho star by dou t plus del dot u equal to 0, and you define the rho star as P pressure divided by beta square, where beta, which is missing here, is the pseudo spelling mistake pseudo compressibility factor. And so for a given value of beta, if you know rho star, you can get P. Okay, so beta is a constant. So if you substitute this expression here, you are rewriting the continuity equation in this way. So it becomes 1 by beta square dou p by dou t plus del dot u equal to 0, and the momentum equation is written as dou u by dou t plus del dot u equal to minus 1 by rho del p plus mu by rho times del square u. Now, so these are the equations that we are solving, and we would like to keep in mind here that in this form rho is the true density and u here as a vector. So this is a vector equation, this is a dyadic product. So this is actually 3 equations for the x momentum equation, y momentum equation and z momentum equation, and so we have to keep that in mind, but it is written in a compact notation in the vector form like this. And when you look at this equation, are these equations correct? They are not correct for incompressible flow because of this term here, 1 by beta square dou p by dou t. So that is something that we have artificially introduced, but assuming that this is okay, we can now see that how we can proceed with the solution. We solve the continuity equation for P. It is like the previous continuity equation where you have density variation dou rho by dou t. Okay. So in a similar way, we can solve this equation for P, or we can solve this equation for rho star, and then once we have rho star, we can get P provided we have beta. Okay. So we can solve this for P here, or solve this for rho, use this to get P and substitute that P in this, and here we have an equation for u, x momentum equation or y momentum equation, in which pressure is no longer an unknown thing, it is already deduced from your continuity equation. Okay. So by rewriting the equations in this way through the addition of this artificial compressibility term here, we are creating a method of finding P and putting that in the momentum equations, so that when we get to the momentum equations, it is no longer a nuisance variable, it is a known variable, and it varies from point to point because it is given by this equation here. So this makes pressure a function of x, y, z, t, and that variation is obtained from this equation. So that same variation is put here to get u. Okay. So these equations can be solved using the methods that we have discussed in the previous part of the module 4, and that enables us to extend those methods here. But when you look at these equations, there is a problem in the sense that these are not correct, but these are correct for steady flow conditions, because under steady flow conditions any variation with respect to 0 goes to 0. So this term will go to 0 and this term will go to 0. You have del dot u equal to 0 plus del dot u equal to minus 1 by rho del p plus mu by rho del square u. So the steady state form of these equations is the same as the steady state form of the true Navier-Stokes equations with the true density and true properties. So under steady state conditions, these equations can be considered to be accurate. So this provides us a means of getting a steady state solution even for incompressible flow using compressible flow methods through the use of this artificial compressibility here. So, we solve these equations with appropriate initial conditions and boundary conditions, and then march forward in time, and if we hold the boundary conditions steady, unchanging with respect to time, eventually under most cases we expect to reach a steady condition. So, there may be some unsteady periodic kind of flows which may be coming through, okay, but if you are looking at a flow which is going to be steady, and if we can drive these equations to steady state where the contribution of these time dependent terms becomes negligible, then we have a velocity field and a pressure field which satisfies the steady form of the momentum equation and the continuity equation. And so, you have a velocity field which satisfies this equation and this equation, and pressure which is also coming from these two equations. So, we will be able to say that the steady state solution must be the steady state solution of the true Navier-Stokes equation for incompressible flow, although we have gotten to the steady state using methods which are not fully correct. So, the transient solution that we are getting here is not dependable, it is not correct, but the steady state solution is correct. And these equations can be used for 3-dimensional flows, because we have written here in the vector form, and you have a this del dot u will become equal to dou u by dou x plus dou v by dou y plus dou w by dou z, and these here you will have 3 equations, x momentum, y momentum, z momentum equation, in which the same pressure which is coming out of this equation is used. So, there is no difficulty in extending this to 3-dimensional flows. The only thing is that it is correct only when you are considering the steady state solution. If your numerical solution does not reach a steady state, or if the solution that you are looking for is not the steady state solution but a transient solution, then you cannot use this method. But if you are looking at a steady flow, the steady flow solution of Navier-Stokes equations for incompressible flow, then this method can be used. And in order to use this method, we need to fix a value of beta. Okay, without beta being specified, this cannot be solved. So, what value of beta can be used? This formulation here, rho star as p by beta square and all that, will imply a pseudo speed of sound which is given by square root of u square plus beta square. So, we call it as where u is the characteristic flow velocity, for example, the average speed or average speed in a duct flow, okay, or the mean something like the u infinity in the case of flow over external bodies, okay, external flow over bodies. So, free stream velocity, that is what it is. So, free stream velocity, so the characteristic velocity square plus beta square, and square root of that is the pseudo speed of sound, and we must make sure that this is reasonable. And based on some studies of sensitivity and all that, Chang and Kwak suggested that beta should be taken in such a way that beta square by reference velocity square is of the order of 5 to 10 for duct flows. So, if you are looking at a flow through a duct which is incompressible, and if you know what is the estimated average velocity, then you choose beta such that beta square is 5 to 10 times reference square, reference velocity square. So, that gives you a velocity, a value of beta here, and then that completes the specification of the problem. In case of external flows at high Reynolds numbers, the value of beta is not so sensitive, and you can take reasonable values for this, and you will have a complete formulation of the problem here. So, the artificial compressibility method, it tries to extend known methods and known and successful methods which have been developed for compressible flows to the solution of incompressible flows. At the same time, the extension is such that the method will not give us time accurate transient solutions. So, when we say time accurate transient solution, we are starting with some initial condition because it is a transient flow that we are solving, and so for the initial condition is fictitious, the transient is fictitious. What is true is the steady state solution. Okay. So, when that is okay for you, then you can use this method, and this method can be used for 3-dimensional flows also, and it has been used for those kind of flows, and this is one specific approach. There is a different philosophy in the stream function vorticity method. Okay. The idea here is that since pressure is the nuisance variable, can we eliminate pressure from the Navier-Stokes equations? So, it is possible under certain cases, and let us consider the case of 2D Cartesian coordinates, 2D meaning 2-dimensional flow, Cartesian. So, we are looking at a 2-dimensional flow in which u and v are the non-zero velocities and w is 0 everywhere, which makes it a 2D flow. And for this, the governing equations in Cartesian coordinates we can write as dou u by dou x plus dou v by dou equal to 0, which is the continuity equation. We will call this as equation A here. The x momentum equation, we have written down the full equation here in the expanded form for us to become familiar with it, and so you have dou u by dou t plus dou by dou x of u square plus dou by dou y of u v equal to minus 1 by rho dou p by dou x plus mu by rho dou square u by dou x square plus dou square u by dou y square. Since we are looking at incompressible constant property flow, the second coefficient of viscosity term does not appear. It is usually something plus lambda times dou u k by dou x k, and dou u k by dou x k equal to 0 here. So, the second coefficient term goes to 0, and this is the equation here. Since we are looking at constant property, constant density, gravity does not come into picture. It has no way of influencing the velocity field. So, we can subsume it in the pressure here, or we can simply neglect it. And the y momentum equation is dou v by dou t plus dou by dou x of u v plus dou by dou y of v square equal to minus 1 by rho dou p by dou y plus mu by rho times dou square v by dou x square plus dou square by dou y square. So, you have equation A, B and C. So, we introduce a variable called stream function. You must have heard about this in your fluid mechanics courses, and lines of constant stream function value are the streamlines, and streamlines are such that flow cannot cross through the streamlines. So, if you have a stream tube, then the flow that is inside will come out of the one of the ends of the tubes. It cannot go through the walls, okay, the fictitious walls which make it a stream tube. I would refer you to standard books of fluid mechanics to learn more about the stream function, but the stream function is defined for this 2D Cartesian case with x and y as the coordinate directions of interest. We can define u as dou psi by dou y and v as minus dou psi by dou x, where psi is the stream function. And we can introduce another variable, vorticity, which is given by omega, which is the vorticity equal to del cross u. And in the case of 2D flow, we are interested in the z component of the vorticity, and that is given by dou v by dou x minus dou u by dou y. Now, using these two variables, that is the stream function and vorticity in the z direction, it is possible to rewrite these equations, the three equations, into a set of two equations. And how do we do that? We can eliminate pressure from these two equations by taking the curl of the momentum equation. So, curl of the momentum equation is a fancy way of saying it. It is a more mathematical way of saying this, but what we are meaning is that by evaluating dou by dou y of this equation minus dou by dou x of this equation. Okay, every term in this equation and every term in this equation is done through this corresponding operator. So, you write this as dou by dou y of dou u by dou t plus dou by dou y of dou by dou x of u square plus dou by dou y of dou of u v by dou y equal to minus dou by dou y of 1 by rho dou p by dou x, all that kind of thing. So, before every one of these terms you put the dou by dou y operator, and similarly this, and then you can go through some algebraic manipulation, and finally you can simplify it and get this particular equation here. And we also make use of this definition of omega z to do this, and finally we get an equation like this. And if you examine this equation, it is dou by dou t of omega z. Omega z is a variable, it is a function of x, y and t, and plus u times dou w by dou z, dou omega z by dou x plus v times dou omega z by dou y equal to mu by rho times dou square omega z by dou x square plus dou square omega z by dou y square. And what is familiar about this equation? This is like a regular scalar transport equation. If you put omega z equal to phi, you get our scalar transport equation. So, it is dou phi by dou t plus u dou phi by dou x plus v dou phi by dou z equal to mu by rho or some diffusivity times dou square phi by dou x square plus dou square phi by dou y square. Okay. So, in that sense it is like a regular transport equation, and we already have developed some templates for solution of this type of equation. So, the solution of this does not pose any specific problem except for the nonlinearity and the coupling that comes with this. Here we are trying to eliminate p, and we can completely eliminate u by substituting this definition for u and this definition for v. Once we do that, we get this equation here. So, in this equation we see there is no u, there is no v, there is no p, and it is obtained from rewriting the momentum equations, and we make also use of the continuity equation to come up to this. Here is an equation, and this has omega z as a variable and psi is also a variable. So, we cannot have one equation and two variables. So, we construct another equation from the definition of this. So, we have omega z equal to dou v by dou x minus dou u by dou y, and we know that v is given by this and u is given by this. So, if you substitute this, you get dou by dou x of minus dou psi by dou y, and you substitute this here, you get minus dou by dou y of dou psi by dou y. So, substituting that, we can get a different equation, dou square psi by dou x square plus dou square psi by dou y square equal to minus omega z. And what is familiar about this equation? This is also almost like the scalar transport equation, except that we do not have the time dependent thing. So, this is actually a Poisson equation with a right hand side which is a variable. Okay. So, now if you look at this equation and the previous equation here, we have two equations involving two variables, psi and omega z here, and psi and omega z here. So, if we solve the previous equation for omega z and then substitute that on the right hand side, we solve for psi here. We put back the psi in this thing here and then again solve this for omega z, and then we come back here and then we put this, and then we can get a new value of psi. So, we can solve these things together and then we can get a solution for psi and omega z, and the psi and omega z obviously are obtained from discretization in terms of psi and omega z and all that, and we write finite difference approximations and for this term and so on. And so using the regular CFD procedure, we can get psi as a function of x and y, that is we get psi ij and omega z ij. So and once we know psi ij, we can take the y derivative and get u, and similarly we take minus of x derivative minus dou psi by dou x will give us v. So we can reconstruct the velocity field by solving this equation, a Poisson equation for psi, the stream function, and a scalar transport equation for the scalar, which is the z component of the vorticity vector. So by doing this, we can get directly the velocity field, okay, without ever solving for pressure. If we want to know pressure, then after solving for velocities, after solving for u and v, we can solve a Poisson equation for pressure, which is obtained by taking the divergence of the momentum equation. Earlier we took curl to eliminate pressure, and to derive an equation for pressure we take the divergence of the momentum equation. So that is, we take dou by dou x of b plus dou by dou y of c, where b and c are the x momentum and y momentum equations. If you do this, if you do that, and then if you go through manipulations and all that, you can finally derive this equation for pressure. So dou square p by dou x square plus dou square p by dou y square equal to 2 rho dou e by dou x times dou e by dou y minus dou e by dou y times dou e by dou x. And what is good about this equation is, it is like this equation, it is like a Poisson equation, and by the time you have come to a solution of p, you already know u and v. So you can evaluate these things. You can evaluate the right hand side, and then you use finite difference approximations for this and this, and you can get a pentadiagonal matrix for p, and then you can solve it to get pressure. So in this way we can evaluate the velocity field u, v and then p by solving a different set of equations which are essentially the same equations as the governing equations, because these have not been derived by making any further assumption. These are the exact equations, but written in a different way so as to enable a solution without having to worry about the pressure. Now the difficulty, it is not as simple as it sounds, it is difficult, and one of the difficulties is the boundary conditions for these, for the solution of this Poisson equation and this equation is not in terms of velocities, because normally we have some velocity boundary conditions, the no slip condition, uniform velocity condition, and normal gradient equal to 0, those kind of things are known, but now we have to visualize what kind of boundary conditions will be there for psi, which is given by this equation here. You may know velocity u and velocity v, but how can you construct a boundary condition for psi on a given boundary? And similarly these things, and one has to spend time and thought on rewriting the known boundary conditions in terms of the boundary conditions that appear in terms of boundary condition for psi and omega z. So in this context we introduce the notion of primitive variables. U, v, p are known as primitive variables, and stream function vorticity are the derived variables, the new variables, sophisticated variables, which enable the solution here. And so boundary conditions, one needs to spend time to translate the known velocity and pressure boundary conditions into boundary conditions for psi and omega. And another disadvantage is that this will work only for 2D, because only for 2D we can come up with a definition of stream function which is given by this. And this definition here is valid only for 2D Cartesian coordinates, in which u and v are non-zero and w is 0. If you go to a different 2D coordinate, 2D problem, for example axis symmetric spherical coordinates with r and theta being the coordinate directions in which flow variables change. So you are looking at a case where u r, the radial component of velocity, and u theta are non-zero, but u z is 0. So if you are looking at that kind of 2D case, which is an axisymmetric 2D case in spherical coordinates, then the stream function is defined in this way. The two non-zero velocities u r and u theta are linked to gradients derivatives of the stream function in this particular way. Here we just defined u as dou psi by dou y and v as minus dou psi by dou x, and here you have to derive it like this, so that once you substitute into the 2D continuity equation for this flow, we can guarantee that the continuity equation is satisfied. For example, here if you substitute this, you get dou square psi by dou x square, and if you substitute dou square psi by dou x dou y here, and if you substitute this one in this, you get minus dou square psi by dou x dou y. So, dou square psi by dou x dou y minus dou square psi by dou x dou y will be equal to 0. So, the definition of stream function is such that the continuity equation is satisfied, and if you want to do the same thing for axisymmetric spherical coordinates, you have to define u r and u theta in this way in order to satisfy the corresponding continuity equation in r theta spherical coordinate system to be valid. So, the definition of stream function changes with coordinate system. So, if you write the stream function definition properly, then it is possible to solve for the velocity field and pressure field without having to explicitly solve for pressure right in the beginning. We can get u and v without having to solve for pressure. So, but only applicability, only condition is that it is valid only for 2D flows and not for 3D flows. So, in the next lecture we will look at a method which is applicable for time dependent and 3D flows, and that is the pressure equation method.